Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Love, Death and Movies podcast. This is the first ever episode 15. I'm of course joined as every week by the pride of the west coast of America, Ash, the notorious, aka the letterbox list guy, Byron, and for the first time, our first guest, the one of the goats of movie talk, Kev, the movie
Come on.
man. Kev, how you doing, man? Welcome to Love, Death, and Movies.
I'm good. I'm good. And I keep telling myself I need to change that name, but I think I'm too deep now.
Nah,
Like I
you
have so
can't
many
change
people
it.
that follow me to I can't it's like I told my wife all the time, I was like, I feel like I need to change that name, but now she's like, but you have a following now. So they won't know you by anything else. And I'm like, you're right. So I'm stuck with that name now.
Nah,
So
it's a great name, man. It's a great name. Well,
thank
thanks
you.
so much for
Thank you.
joining us, man. This is our episode that we're going to go fully in-depth review in terms of, and a full deep breakdown towards Frank Darabont's The Green Mile. So as you know, Kev, this is our month of 90s films. So every movie that we review during the month of January are all going to be our favorites in 1990, et cetera, et cetera. And there are going to be some that some of us haven't seen, such as this with Ash, which I'm really excited to see what she thinks about this. But before we do that, guys, around the grounds, how are we doing? How's life at the moment, Ash?
Oh, thank you. I feel like
Oh,
I'm always first. Poor Byron. Yeah,
start.
I'm good. We didn't talk last week, which was weird. It was the first time we skipped a week since we had
Yeah,
double recorded. But yeah, I'm good. I'm off work until the 29th. So I had this whole week off. I had my cousin and her husband visiting from Dallas for 5 days. So it was nice to finally get my house back to no visitors, just my normal routine. But yeah, just been off and literally watched 4 movies in a 24-hour window,
hell yeah.
including the one we're talking about
That's
today.
a
So,
that's a triumph for you. That's huge because you watch
well,
a
yeah,
lot of
three of
movies,
them,
but
three of them were French films. So I feel like I may be partially fluent now. I don't
oh
know.
yeah,
That's wild.
we Byron, how you doing?
Yeah, to answer your question for why you're first all the time, Ash, it's if Harry's hosting, you speak first. If I host, I just don't want Harry to speak first, so you speak first.
It's fair to be
So
honest.
yeah,
By
that's how
default.
that goes. Yeah, I'm all right. I haven't had a typically busy week. I got my tooth fixed. It's been really fucking hot lately, so it's been a mixed week of good and bad. But we got UFC on this weekend.
Yes,
Uh,
yes we do.
UFC 297, Strickland versus Duplessis. I'm very, very excited, but also scared. You know how I am with these fucking events. Um, it could go really sideways really fast, but I'm still excited. It's a decent week all around though.
Epic. Kev, how you doing?
I'm
How's
good. I'm
Florida?
good. Florida's good, everyone's freezing their asses off every other place of the country over here. We're in the 70s. My life doesn't change much. I have 2 young kids, so it's kind of work. And then, my dad's coming in town this weekend, so we're building the kids a swing set, stuff like that. So that's kind of like how my weekends go. Obviously, football. I'm a big football fan. Honestly, if it
Dolphins
wasn't,
fan?
unfortunately, Dolphins fan. Yeah. It was a rough week last weekend, but at least now I just get to watch football and have fun with it. I don't have anyone in the race.
Oh
But yeah,
man.
excited to sit, watch some football with my dad, hang out, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that we got the Green Mile out of your way. This 3 hour epic. Um, so this movie was released in 1999, directed by Frank Darabont, which is a director that not many people talk about nearly enough, I believe. Uh, Shawshank Redemption then went on to do this masterpiece, in my opinion. And then he went on to start The Walking Dead. So he's done a lot, and not many people give him his flowers, I feel. So first things first, we've now all watched this film. What do we initially think? And then we'll go through some fun questions that you guys have no idea about. A little breakdown, some favorite scenes, some favorite quotes, etc. Our favorite letterbox reviews of the movie, and we'll do all the breakdown. But until then, what do we actually think? I want to start with Ash because it's the first time seeing it. Ash, what do you think about your first watch of The Green Mile?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very heartbreaking movie. I knew that it was longer, so I prepared for that. So that did
Yeah,
not affect my experience, but I do feel like if you were not aware that it was a longer film and you started it and were just like, oh, let's check this out,
it's over three
it'd be a
hours.
bit much. Yeah. I really enjoy how it starts with him as an old man. I did not know that piece. I knew bits and pieces of this movie just from obviously time, and then I've seen like memes and things like that over the years. So I knew kind of general things about it, but I didn't really know much about the story. I actually preferred to go in more blind. So
Awesome.
I liked that it started with him older and then kind of went back. And I like that it took its time, like getting to know different characters. I think that made more of an impact at the end of the day. So general thoughts are, I really enjoyed it. I'll save my rating, I guess, for later. But yeah, I thought it was very well done. I didn't read the book, so I don't know how much it is true to that, but I'm assuming based on the way the storytelling was, it's very much told like a book.
Yeah,
So
well,
I think they did a great job with that piece.
well, you'll find out how faithful
I
the
will find
adaptation
out.
is. But Kev, what did you think of the movie?
So I'm not gonna lie, it took me 2 sittings
It's
to
a
get
long
through
movie.
it.
It's a long movie.
I didn't realize it was over. It's like 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's a doozy. One thing that stood out to me, I haven't seen it since I was a young adult, since I was like 19, 20 years old. So what really stood out to me was the cast. Like the cast is absolutely stacked from where like you're turning every corner. You could be a small character, a big character. You're like, hey, is that when I figured out that was Sam Rockwell? I was like, that's Sam Rockwell. And you got Barry Pepper from Saving Private Ryan. You got Gary Sinise has a small little part in
What a
it.
great little small role he has in it. Like a
Like
little piece
it's
of
just
shit.
like everywhere you go. And can we talk about The Rock and everything being like the biggest, you know, like actor as far as like size. Yo, my guy, I forgot, why am I blanking
Michael
on his name?
Clark,
Michael Clark Duncan. Like
that
that
guy.
guy is huge.
Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
massive.
God. I forgot how big he was. But the cast all around. I think it's also what's his name? David Morse
Yeah.
as well. Big Disturbia guy.
I was gonna
You
say
know,
shout out to
Yeah.
Serbia.
shout out Disturbia. You know, like again, the cast is just amazing from top to bottom, and I think that's kind of what kept me in it. Is honestly, you know, it's one of those films you need a good cast like that because it's so dialogue heavy that if you don't have characters that can bring it out in the screenplay, then you're going to kind of fail. One thing I'll say as a negative, just like quick thoughts, is I do wish we got more into Michael Clark Duncan's character. I feel like he was kind of a side character almost even until like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours into the film until we really started to dive into the healing powers and all that stuff. So I feel like they kind of waited a little bit too long to kind of get into some of that, where there could have been some scenes that almost could have been cut out a little bit. But once we get into the deep dive, I have some scenes that I loved.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely loved. But I really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. And Byron.
Yeah, I agree with Kev. I think the biggest standout is this movie's cast. I think no matter the size of their role, I think everyone plays like a fucking like they're like it's one of their best career best performances. I will say I don't quite know, but this happened when I initially watched the movie. Something in my mind is missing for me to give it like a perfect score. I just can't. I just don't know what it is. So this movie hasn't gone down and it hasn't gone up. It's still. I said in my letterbox review, well, that it's privated at the moment, so no one can see it. But I started saying I don't think it's one of the greatest movies ever made, but I think it's one of the most important. And that still stands. I thought that the first time, and I still think it now. I think it's just there's just something small missing to make it just one of those like all-time greats for me. But I still think it's a fucking tremendous movie.
Absolutely. Well, this is one of my all-time favorite films. I've said this numerous times. I do believe this is Tom Hanks's best role and best film. I adore him in this because it's so real. It's not just like you think of like Oscar-winning movies, like let's say I can't think of any others other than Marriage Story right now, even though it didn't win the Oscar. But you think of Adam Driver during that movie, and it's that one scene that picks out where it's like, every day I wake up and I wish you were dead. Like that scene that everyone knows. This role that he did the entire time, he's just so real. And I just really subtle human performance, which I think is his best role he's ever done. Shout out to Philadelphia, though. But I adore this film. I echo everything said. I agree that like I would have loved more Michael Clark Duncan, but kind of the mystery behind that is kind of what I love more about him, because he's very much like a if we look at from a religious standpoint, this is a very religious film. This is a story of Jesus, the sacrifice of Jesus, which I kind of like. I really love that. Like, I'm not a religious person at all, but I love that sort of metaphor towards this like at then that time modern setting, which is just really cool. But this, I'm a sucker for a close setting sort of film, and this whole close setting of the death row of the Green Mile, I think, is like so eerily creepy, and the way that it flips humanity, that like your majority of the characters are horrible people, they're monsters, and they're murderers, they've done worse than that even, but you still feel like the humanity behind that for them, and I think especially because all the inmates are murderers and have done worse. They're not the biggest villain in the movie, like, which is nuts to think about, because we've got big old Percy on the
Well, maybe
roster.
Sam Rockwell's character. Let's
So
not
yeah,
compare
you're
him.
right. Wild Bill is pretty damn bad. So Wild Bill is too.
Then
bad.
Percy
know.
comes second.
I don't know. Percy's a
Percy's
bad man.
Yeah,
I don't know
Percy's a
about
piece of
that.
shit. Yeah, agreed. Well, before we get into the breakdown, I want to ask you guys, if you're on death row, what's your last meal?
Oh,
Byron, it's gonna be some New Zealand shit.
you better not say chips.
Nah, wait, New Zealand shit. Fuck,
It's gonna be a pie or something.
Yeah,
Right?
fuck you. Maybe, yeah. Actually, fuck. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not even sorry. Yeah. Give me like 2 steak, bacon, and cheese pies, and then Lewis Road chocolate milk. If you ever come to New Zealand, buy that chocolate milk. It's the greatest shit you'll ever have, like ever. That I want like 2 bottles of that,
Hell yeah.
and then I'll be happy. And maybe a Christmas ham on top.
Just an entire whole Christmas ham.
Yeah.
I fuck with that.
Yeah.
I fuck
I want
with
$130 ham.
that. Hey, they can't say no. It's your last meal. Kev, what would you have?
I don't know. Part of me wants like something fancy, like a nice steak, but also I'm like, it's my last meal. Honestly, I feel like I would just go like every single favorite meal from every fast food restaurant.
I'm the
Like
same,
literally like
yeah.
Big Mac, Whopper, nuggets from McDonald's, like just anything that I could possibly just stuff my face with before I just go to death row and just get fried or injected or whatever the hell I'm doing.
Amen.
Might as well, right? Who cares?
Amen.
Like,
Absolutely.
stuff my face.
Ash, what'd you
And
pick?
some nice chocolate and some nice candy.
Yeah.
You know, like you guys think I'm crazy, but maybe some Raisinets. You know, like I'm a Raisinette stan.
What's a
To the day I
raisinette?
die.
We don't have that in Australia.
It's a chocolate covered raisin, right?
What? Yeah, it's literally chocolate covered
Oh,
raisin.
we've got them, and yeah, we just
Oh,
got.
yeah.
I fuck with them. They're great.
Raisinets is like a
Raisinette.
brand. I think, isn't it like the brand name for
Yeah,
it?
it's the brand name. They have
I-
like chocolate covered, like the raisin companies have like chocolate covered raisins also, but
Have
the
you-
brand name. Yeah.
Have you got Cadbury over in the States?
Yeah, you can get it at like a CV, at like a convenience store or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta have more Cadbury in your country, Kev. You gotta have more Cadbury. Cadbury's amazing.
Isn't that England? Isn't that an English chocolate?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
it's Australian as well.
It's
Like it's our main thing as well. And
It's
New
massive
Zealand.
here too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
my-
best chocolate.
It's Oceania and the UK.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sure,
My
sure,
wife's
sure.
mother's from the UK, so she always talks about Cadbury.
Oh, well, shout out to the Cadbury fans around there. I would. I'm with Kev. I reckon I'd have like a part of every major fast food, but I'd also have a bowl of cereal because I just keep topping it up with milk, and they just have to wait. Like
What cereal though?
Oh, yeah, I haven't thought that far ahead. Let's go. Let's go Honey Nut Cheerios.
So simple.
I
Of
know.
all the cereals, if your
Yeah.
last cereal, you're getting Honey Nut Cheerios.
Or maybe some Fruit Loops as well. Like I haven't had Fruit Loops
There
since
we
I was
go.
a kid.
I'm
There's a
going
good
like
answer.
I'm going like Cocoa Puffs or
Oh,
like
Captain
Okay.
Crunch berries all the way.
Never
Like
had.
Lucky
We don't have
Charms.
that. But we don't have Lucky Charms in this country.
Yeah.
We got Cocoa
You're missing
Puffs,
out
though.
on so many cavities, Harry.
I don't know what that
yeah.
Awesome.
Hey.
Well,
You skipped me.
is.
my bad. I did. I totally did.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, Ash.
Heartbroken.
What would you have for your last meal, Ash? Sorry, I'm so used to
Um,
you not being last. That's why, mate. Something so first time.
I think I'll go with like a filet mignon, like medium rare,
Oh yeah.
with some mashed potatoes and like a big Caesar salad. I don't know.
Oh,
That just sounds really good.
Hell yeah! I had a nice steak before I went and saw the Iron Claw last night, so I could, I at least had a full belly while I cried.
Bro,
Great
I
movie
still
though.
have not seen it. I
Me
want to see it
neither.
so bad.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Go on.
I already know I'm gonna cry. I already know I'm gonna cry
Yeah,
hysterically.
yeah. You definitely will. Anyway, what a way to get us into the breakdown. So I've got this all sectioned off, guys. So I'm going to stop after each section. We can talk about every one of them. So the first part of the film, introduction, both past and present. The film opens with a group of people searching for two girls through a wheat field. We get a seriously creepy voiceover that says, "You love your sister. You make any noise, you know what happens." Then older Paul wakes up. But why was this his nightmare, eh? Like, how can he see this? We'll find out later. At a Louisiana assisted living home in 1999, retiree Paul Edgecombe begins to cry while watching the film Top Hat. Great film, but why are you crying, Paul? His companion Elaine becomes concerned, and Paul explains that this film reminds him of his time as an officer at Cold Mountain Penitentiary Death Row, nicknamed the Green Mile. The film then flashbacks to 1935 to seriously handsome Tom Hanks. Paul supervises correctional officers Brutus, which is David Morse, Dean, Harry, and of course fan favorite Percy. Percy, I've put in notes that everyone needs to know, Percy is the nephew of the state governor's wife. We'll get it. This guy's a piece of shit, and demonstrates severe sadistic streak, but flaunts his family's connections to avoid being held accountable. He's particularly abusive to prisoner Edouard Delacroix, also nicknamed as Del, by breaking his fingers in the opening scene, but we'll get to that. This is also the scene and the opening where we find out that Paul is suffering from a severe UTI illness, which back in those days gets next to no medicine that could come to close to killing someone. In the book, I'm not sure if I think they touch on it in the movie, but in the book, because I've read the book in the last week, so I'm going to be able to bring a couple more references into this. The only medicine that the doctor would have been able to give him is sulfur tablets, which would have made him throw up to no end. So it's kind of just like a throw everything at it sort of thing until it sticks. But before I send this to you guys, this is, according to the featurette on the DVD, this is Stephen King's most faithful adaptation this is the most faithful adaptation of a Stephen King piece of work. And this is all what Frank Darabont says is the most satisfying movie of his career. So what do you guys think about this opening? Did you like that you start with a flashback and then you go towards that first sort of opening of the introductions of all the officers? Like, what was your first impression? Anyone?
I really liked that. It stood out to me just because I was expecting Tom Hanks, and so when it started, I think it added a layer of like unfamiliarity, which made me like more hooked into the story.
Yeah.
And I was also curious what it all meant. Obviously, and you don't know until the end. So, for someone who's never seen it, obviously, that was what stood out to me, was just getting to kind of be surprised and then get flashed back to that, and like it really set the tone. Seeing how I didn't even really do the math at first, but I was wondering how we could go back to the 30s and have like a 40-something-year-old man. Like 5 times I stopped it and I was like, wait, how old is he supposed to be? I was like doing the math and it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, they set the tone of like the actual prison really well. They took their time, like showing different shots of it and like kind of building into introducing all of these guards. And it might have felt long, I guess, to some people, but I liked that they kind of took their time setting that tone of how dark things kind of are there, but they're also like having fun at the same time.
Yep.
When they work on death row.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, one thing I liked about it was it kind of showed you how much he has repressed the memory of what he went through when he was at the jail, because he like just sitting watching a movie and all of a sudden like essentially flashbacks flood into his mind of this terrible time of his life that he kind of just wants to forget. And even when he goes outside and has that conversation with her, like on the patio, he's like, I haven't talked to someone about this in a long time. Like he just kind of wants it to just be gone, because obviously it's probably not a great memory of his life. But yeah, I like how they kind of, like how Ash said, they took their time kind of getting into the different correctional officers in the facility. You really get to know each one of them at the beginning. And I found it funny too, like, maybe just not just the beginning, but throughout the film too, is they do take a couple moments of like almost comedic, like changing the tone a little bit. I'm sure you're gonna get to it, but like the mouse part where they're like, trying to find the mouse, and like it kind of humanizes them a little bit.
For sure, and they
And
use
that's
the
what I liked
score
about
for
it.
that as well. They definitely give like a comedic score during those times as
Mm-hmm.
well, which kind of puts you off
Yep.
if you like know the story but you haven't seen the film before. When you're watching this, you're like,
Exactly.
why is this kind of like a comedy at the moment?
Yeah. 100%. But it also like it I don't know. Other than Percy, like you kind of felt that the correctional officers they they felt bad for these inmates. It's not something they really enjoyed doing. So you kind of almost not sympathized with them, but like you could tell that they really, sunk their soul into each of these executions. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
something they really were enjoying, and that's when I'm not going to dive too far ahead because I know you're going to get into it. But
for
that's why
sure.
when Percy did his, he did it all everything the wrong way.
Yeah.
There was no humanity behind it.
No, for sure. I agree. Before I hit it over to you, Byron, just before I forget this point, I love that point. That like if we step back, they're like, why are they being nice to these guys? So Brutal, also played by David Morse. That's his name, Brutus. His nickname's Brutal. Um, there's a point in the film where he, after an execution, he says to Percy, he's just like, don't speak bad about him. He's paid his tax. He's paid his debt. He's now even with the house. Because I think that's like really their mentality of going into this job. They're giving what they need to give now to be even with their humanity. So like that's why I don't think they're insanely harsh on them. And that's why you get to see all the humanity from it. Yeah, Byron, anything to add for this point?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a hot take. I think this is one of the best opening scenes ever.
Hell yeah.
Uh, I think it being fast forwarded in time to start a movie, it's been done a lot, but I think this movie probably has one of the best executions like ever. I agree that the pacing's obviously deliberate. That's how was meant to be, and I think for this movie it works perfectly because it gives you enough time to settle in with these characters in a very short amount of time. You're like you're instantly connected with these characters. That's why the movie gets that emotion from the majority of viewers. I think it's just a really well crafted initial section. I think Frank and and the team behind it, the whole team, I think they just did a fucking great job with it.
Absolutely. To touch on your point, Kev, I think that's really interesting about how it very, very much seems like a repressed memory, and it's written that way in the book as well. So in the book, this is one of the most faithful adaptations I've ever read. So majority of the stuff that happens here is identical to what's on screen. Like the stuff that's happening with the present with Elaine, basically he's the whole movie he's just writing it like in a journal, and then he just gives it to Elaine and he goes, I'll see you in 4 hours. So Elaine just goes, so they don't have that discussion. Elaine just goes, reads it, and then comes back and goes, what the hell? But the beginning of the film is so non-linear with time. It just keeps jumping across everywhere. Like he first remembers this time where like the mouse was already there, the Mr. Jingles was already there. Some of the inmates had already died. Then he jumps around to before that. Then he jumps around to after that again. So and then as the time goes on and he continues to tell the story, it becomes much more linear, which I think's just I think that's a really good point that you brought up, that it is a repressed memory, that he's like not remembering it linear at first.
Do you mind if I touch on one more thing?
Of
One
course.
thing that kind of the opening reminded me a little bit was another Tom Hanks movie. It's very similar almost to, in a way, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Where like, he's walking up to the headstones and his whole family sees him cry and they don't really know why. And then it immediately pans to D-Day. It's kind of similar to that, where it's like, you're seeing this man who's like broken over something that happened so long ago. And then all of a sudden we're going to pan to why.
Yeah. It's
Obviously,
awesome.
Saving Private Ryan does it in a more like in your
Nuts.
face,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a little bit similar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great point. So we've got the introduction of John Coffey, like the drink, except not spelled the same. So John Coffey enters the prison, escorted by Percy as he keeps yelling, "Dead man walking," and I've got a note here saying, "What a prick."
I wanted him to shut up so badly during that.
He's such an asshole. A towering black man, which in the book has him just over 7 foot and over 300 pounds, so that's 1 billion kilograms. So he may look huge, but the first thing that Paul notices is how mild-mannered he is. He looks like an innocent child, which is crazy. So the Michael Clark Duncan, I think we can all agree, is perfectly cast for this. Like, he has that look that you immediately trust, but he also has that hulking figure. He wasn't the first choice. There was 2 choices. One was like, oh, I get that, and one was like fucking wild. So Ving Rhames was the first consideration for the role. I get that. I think that's like after seeing Pulp Fiction again as well, you're like, I get that as Marcellus Wallace. Then Shaq was considered for the role. Shaquille O'Neal. Imagine this movie with Shaq as John Coffey.
Fuck no.
That'd be
No.
so wild.
Would
He's
not
got
be able
the
to take
height,
it.
and that's
Can't
it.
take it
Yeah.
seriously at all.
I wouldn't watch it.
What's the movie Kazam? Where he
Kazam.
yeah.
Fuck
Kazam.
is that? What is that?
It's a movie
like
that he
a
did. He's like a genie, I think.
child
No,
movie.
Don't
I'm
watch
not
it.
watching that.
Don't watch it.
No,
watch
don't.
it.
It's awful. But yeah, so you may look huge, but the first thing he notices is how mild-mannered he is. He has the look of an innocent child, and it's here where he says that he's afraid of the dark. When inducting him into the cell, Paul and John shake hands, which I think is so important here. So Percy gets too aggressive, and after being told off, he storms off and breaks Edward's hands on the way. Percy is a bad guy. So I just really want to see what you guys think about this scene. I love how they shake hands. I think that's already like a moment of like trust, like instinctual trust that Paul has. Paul's been doing this for 20 odd years, so he's seen hundreds and hundreds of people come and go. But this is the first time that he's ever shook a hand. In the book, it's Paul that reaches out and shakes his hand, which I think is actually... I kind of like the movie better, that it's Coffee shaking the hand, because it's like Paul deciding to take it. That shows like his trust, rather than... Because in the book, he's like, for some reason, I just put out my hand. So it's like, I like the decision to actually trust Coffee. I think that's a lot better. But anything to spring out about this scene, guys?
Go ahead, Kev.
I mean, obviously from the start, they're trying to show you, how genuine and gentle John Coffey is with the I'm afraid of the dark.
Gentle, yeah. Absolutely.
The only thing that I struggle with this particular scene, I don't know. I feel like maybe you want a little bit of element of doubt. Like, it's almost like from the start, they're showing us like, hey, this guy is like the nicest guy in the world. Whereas like he really is there accused of murdering 2 children. So like,
Yeah.
maybe there could have been a little element of doubt at the beginning, to where like from the moment you meet him, you're not like, wow, this guy is like a gentle giant. Like, how could he have done what he did? Where there could have been a little bit more element of a doubt there, where like, okay, maybe he did do what he did, but like, I get the movie's not going for that. I do like the point that you brought up, that he put out his hand first versus the book. I do think that is more impactful, because like
Great.
it's giving Tom Hanks's character the decision to do it or to not do it, which is big, because I'm assuming he never shakes an inmate's hand. So
It's his first time he's ever done it,
yeah, so him doing that is huge for the storyline in general. But yeah, I mean, I like the fact that they do include the I'm afraid of the dark. You kind of get that sense of, okay, this man's kind of like a jolly green giant. Could they have put a little more elements of mystery of if this man's really as nice as we think he is? Maybe, but I know that's not what they're going for.
Sure.
Interesting. I didn't really take it that way, but now that you're saying that, I definitely can, like, I can see what you mean. But at the
Yeah,
same time,
absolutely.
I kind of liked that they almost wanted the audience to like immediately
Immediately
feel for
like this
him,
guy, yeah.
because then I still felt doubtful, because I didn't know how it was going to end. And so like when they showed the image of him with the girls, like holding that, I don't know, like, I had doubts from the beginning, even that he did it, but then I felt like they still had me kind of like questioning it. So I feel like they did enough to kind of show like those moments where like he grabs onto people and he's just like so scary and strong. Those still kind of took me back. Like maybe he's not a good guy, but he is. So I think they could have done maybe a little more subtlety with that scene. I understand that point, but I kind of liked it because I feel like it allowed me to feel for him, early on, and actually kind of start thinking like, did he actually do this? Which I was thinking the entire time.
Absolutely. Byron? Anything
Yeah,
else?
I think it's it goes off what I said about the it being deliberate. Everything, like from the second you meet this guy, like you have a connection one way or another with them. You're like, oh, I don't trust them, or I do. Which again, I think that comes back to working perfectly. The writing behind this movie is fucking elite, man.
Stephen King. Yeah, absolutely.
And I agree with what I do agree with what Ash is saying. Like, I'm just trying to play. I play devil's advocate all the time.
No.
Oh yeah.
My thing is like, it's not a crime movie. Like at the end of the day, it's not like Zodiac where you're like trying to like
Mhm.
figure out what the guy do it. And like so like the story, it's a personal story. It's based on this one guy. You're supposed to feel for him, which leads you to the end, which makes you cry, which makes you sad. You know, that's the whole point of starting off with him being so gentle at the beginning. So
Mhm.
But
No,
I
it's a
get,
great point though. I like it.
I get what you mean because he's on death row, so he's there for a
Mhm.
reason, and like you're there after a trial. So I get what you mean. They're like, how did he get past that trial? But we'll find out. I've got like little inputs from the book from that. So the arrival of Mr. Jingles, a mouse appears on the mile, and everyone becomes obsessed. In particular, Dell, Edward. They form a bond with, and the mouse learns all these new tricks. Percy, of course, hates the mouse. I think it's because it's a creature that's lesser than him, and he vows to kill it. And says, "I'm gonna squish him." This is also where we find out that the warden's wife is sick, something truly bad. Which later on we find out that it's a tumor the size of a lemon in his words, deep in the brain where they can't operate. This is where we get the arrival of Wild Bill. So we get many scenes in this sort of section of Paul suffering from his UTI, showing how painful it is. There's that one scene where he has to go to the bathroom at night in the outhouse,
Oh my God.
which
Scene
is
broke me.
that was nuts to watch. That was crazy. Yeah, but it doesn't stop him from doing his job. In the book, it's explained that he was going to go to the doctor, but he can't because that day Wild Bill is getting onto the mile and he has to be there. So Wild Bill, played by the incredible Sam Rockwell. This guy is so talented.
he's so good.
He's so good. So he tricks the guards into thinking that he's mentally ill and not all there. So he turns that into a fight and grounds Paul completely by hitting the area where he's got the UTI. After it's all said and done, Bill's in his cell, and then we hear, "Boss man, I need to see you down here." So John Coffey heals Paul, or as he continues to say it throughout the movie, he helped it, which I think is adorable. I love that. I helped it, boss. This is where John Paul's first doubts of John's crimes start, because how does a man get given that ability commit such heinous crimes? Then there's a great scene where Paul and his wife get up to mischief the entire night, and then I just love the next day he's just like, "Yeah, I can't come in." Yeah, I love that. So
And then do you love how John was like, "Did the missus like it?" Like he like when he said like if he's feeling better, he asked him if he's feeling better, and he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "How did the missus like it or something like that?" And he's
Yeah.
just like, "She liked it."
Yeah,
Which-
I forgot to include in my notes, but there's that great scene where her name's Janice is her full name. She bakes him cornbread and brings it into and he's like, "You can share it with whoever you want." He's like, he gives some to Edward and Mr. Jingles, and he's just like, and then while Bill's demanding it and like calling him all these names, he's like, "I think I'll keep the rest myself, sir." And I was like, and he's just fucking having it. He's just going to town, and I'm like, good on you. But what do you guys think of this? The arrival of Mr. Jingles and the arrival of Mr. Bill, and the first time you see the healing.
Yeah. I have to say one scene that I just absolutely loved that made me laugh out loud was when I think Brutal comes in after Percy's being a little, you know what, not actually doing anything with the stick that's next to him. I love he just walks and
Yes.
picks it up and just like uses it immediately, like solves the problem.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He always makes sure to take care of business. And I just love that moment because it shows how scared he actually is, and he's just all talk.
He's
At that point in
he's just a
time.
boy. He's just a
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, he really has no business being there. It's like clear that he's there because of his connections, and he really doesn't have it in him to actually do this job the way that he should, but he wants it because he wants the power. So I do love that scene. But overall, I really enjoy, this is where the movie started to pick up for me. I really enjoyed like the mouse. I was like, what does it mean? What does the mouse mean? I was like, the mouse is going to be a metaphor. I was just like spiraling in my head with the mouse. And then I liked getting to see more of, is it Dell? Is that they call him Dell?
Dell, the
I
French
really
guy.
enjoyed,
French guy.
yeah, like I feel like it really started to humanize him in this part of the movie where I found myself feeling like bad for him and John. Like I don't know, I started to feel like more connected to them. Like they were just people. And back to your guys' point at the beginning really quickly, I think for me, it was like that moment where you realize like when you take somebody out of their environment where they've done bad things and they're influenced by bad people and, you know, things, they're just humans. And like, so I feel like we're getting to just see their true personalities as people when they're in the prison. Like that's who Del is as a person. He's actually very like nurturing to this mouse and like very soft and not like a hard person, but clearly out in the world, he's done something horrible. So it's hard because you empathize with them, but they're bad people. So I think that happens in real life too, where it's like when you remove somebody from their environment and they're just there on their own, you can kind of see their true colors, which is an interesting concept.
Absolutely. It's the whole element of rehab, of like getting someone out of their natural habitat. Sorry, Byron.
The introduction of Jangles and Del. I get the feeling, I get the same feeling from like their scenes as I do One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where it's just mad, but it's really compelling and just really really funny, like they're like highly amusing. I mean, the mouse scene a little over the top initially with the initial chase, but I think Del's scenes in particular are just really just joyful. And I fucking love it. It's one reason why I rank One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest so highly, is because I get that feeling throughout the entire thing. Because it is a dramatic movie, but I love how they sprinkle just quite a bit of a comedy in there, which is fucking perfect in my eyes.
Absolutely.
Ash, you joke about the metaphor, but I think if you were to like kind of dissect the mouse, I think the mouse is more like another humanity aspect to what these guys are going through. Because think about it, these guys are supposed to be like disgusting criminals, murderers, and they're babying this little mouse. Like it's it's something lesser than them that they could smush and kill in an instant. But it also points to their loneliness. It points to probably just, you know, they're starved for just love from anything, even if it's a mouse or a rat.
Connection,
Yeah. So like, you know, kind of again brings the humanity aspect in with some of the other inmates as well, like you guys talked about, which makes the later scene even more sad. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome. So one thing that the movie doesn't really touch on that much is why Percy really hates Del, because you see this in these scenes that like he just hates him, and like at times it's because there's that scene where Percy pisses himself because he gets attacked by Wild Bill, and then Del laughs at him. But it's in the book it's much more explained that like he's like Del's like a homosexual, and Percy's a massive homophobe, which you learn a lot about Percy. Like that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. So you definitely get that sort of sense towards why this vilification towards Percy, towards Del. We don't know in the movie exactly what these guys have done, but in the book they go into detail of what's happened and what Del did. I can say it if you guys want me to, but it's pretty heinous. Like it's disgusting. Like so like it kind of is. I don't think like the way that he ended is just because of what we learned of like how he has become and how much he's taken everything back. I don't think anyone deserves what happens to him, but it is kind of rightfully ironic in a way. Basically kills a person, kills a girl, sets her on fire, and then the fire goes to the building next door and kills 6 people in that building because of the fire. Like it's nuts. Yeah, it's crazy.
I feel like I wish they would have hit on that in the movie, because again, it's like a moral like dilemma. You're like, okay, I see this guy, he seems like a nice guy, but like he did this.
I think it's like great that they don't though, because there's times where I feel like you're feeling for these guys and you start to really like these guys, and there'll be moments throughout the film you're like, wait, hang on, this is death row. These guys are in prison.
Yeah, like, I guess it doesn't really matter because you know they're on death row. You know they did something disgusting, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
But no,
I mean, in the 30s, to be fair, like it didn't take that much to be put on death row in comparison. So, not saying that any of things that they did is right, but
especially if you're a man of color. Especially if you're a man of color.
Yeah, because the evidence against John Coffey was just he was there, like that was it.
Yeah.
Well, especially like if Del was like known to be like homosexual, and like especially at that time, like he would have been a party that would have been very unfairly, discriminated against as well. So I think kind of goes to show. And then you have this fucking Sam Rockwell character in here who's just like the most, backwards person ever, and he's just kind of, you can just tell he's been the kind of person who's gotten away with so much in his life, and he's finally paying for probably not even a portion of the things he's done bad. You know what I mean?
100%.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Paul after he uses his sick day to go visit. I think it's a lawyer, but is it Coffee's lawyer? Which is Bert Hammersmith. Yeah, I think it's Coffee's lawyer.
Coffee's lawyer.
Great scene and an unreal character of Gary Sinise. I love
I
Gary
almost missed
Sinise.
him. I was like, I didn't recognize him at first with the glasses.
Yeah, I love Gary Sinise and everything he does. Great scene, great interaction. He's convinced that Coffee did the murder, and after questioning, Paul sees that there's just a lot of racial vilification behind it, a lot of motivation behind it, and Paul starts to question when Paul starts to question the evidence, he's just immediately shot down. So Hammersmith then tells this story about this dog that he used to have that was really mild-tempered his whole life, and then one day he just attacked his son and severely damaged his face. So he single-handedly put the dog down. Hammersmith then makes the wild connection between an aggressive rabid dog to Coffee, and basically says, yeah, case closed. So instantly, I think that's really what sells Paul on, like, I don't think he did this. Of like, he sees already the motivations behind it, which I think, go back to your point, Kev, of like, they should have gone more in depth towards what these guys have done, because like, he already sees the doubt here. But I do believe that like the main point of why he sees the doubt is because he's a very religious man, of like, why did God give him this power if he's done these crimes? But any quick thoughts about Gary Sinise and his incredible scene?
I can start here. I think just this scene in general just shows like how much of a disservice that John Coffey already was getting. This is his lawyer, and this is like, you know, you feel like it would be someone still somewhat defending him. You know, like this is someone that he, you know, tried to help at least what you would think.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's pretty much comparing him to, you know, listen, I'm a huge dog guy. I have 3 dogs, but like, you know, you're comparing an animal to a human being that has thoughts and feelings and, you know, an intellect, and, you know, it's a little bit different from a guy that's just a gentle being all of a sudden snapping versus a dog decides to snap on a human. Like that comparison just shows you right there, like this man was not given a chance if this is the guy that was defending him.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's the point of the scene, is kind of like, all right, now I'm starting to side with Tom Hanks' character.
Well, in the book, at the beginning when he's inducted into prison, John Coffey, he's told like on Sundays you can have any visitors. And he's like, I've got no one. I've got no family. He goes, well, what about your lawyer? He goes, he didn't even talk to me. He don't talk to me much when he was working with me. So he didn't even talk to him. So like that's kind of like kind of just little bits there.
Well, he did say like everyone's entitled to a defense. So to me, that line meant like, yeah, he was entitled to it, but I didn't really plan on trying very hard.
Yeah.
That was the impression I got.
Yeah, absolutely. Byron?
Yeah.
As a I don't really necessarily have too big of thoughts on it. I think it's just another good scene, and proves that, again, like I said, like, even the smallest of roles in this movie, like they add so fucking much to the overall story and development of the characters, because he furthers the story, and he furthers Tom Hanks' character with that 4-minute conversation. I think it's just a nice little scene to throw in the middle of there, just to quickly tie some loose ends on the story. I think it's just a great little scene.
Absolutely. So then we get the somewhat death of Mr. Jingles. So this is a great scene for John Coffey's impression on everyone around him, past Paul, except for Percy. So the mouse and Dell were playing around with the spool of string, and it ran out into the corridor, and Percy once again shows his evil side and stamps on the poor mouse. Told you I'd get him. So John holds out his hand and says, quick, boss, while there's still time. Which, while there's still time, is so important here. Because I forgot to mention, when he got inducted into prison, Paul didn't even ask John Coffey about it, but he's just like, I tried to take it back, boss, but it was too late. So like that was the a thing that just keeps coming back is time. So he heals the mouse, gives it back to Dell. Everyone except for Percy can now see what John can do. He's a miracle. Any thoughts about this scene?
I'm not gonna lie.
When the mouse got smushed.
I had a different reaction. I kind of let out a little giggle. It caught me so off guard. It was kind of funny. I'm sorry.
Not funny.
You're a psycho.
Look, Nah, well, obviously, I knew what like later happened. I knew the mouse comes back. So, but forgetting about that scene that happened, I was like, "Fuck! Oh, that's right, that happens." And then I'm sorry.
See, that's a good point though, watching it again, because see, at this point, I'd only seen him help Paul, and I didn't know that he could actually bring people back to life.
Yeah.
So, or things back to
Yeah.
life. So I was like, I didn't even, I mean, I thought that he would probably try, but I thought the mouse was a goner. I was very sad.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just an important scene to just let all the other, officers see what he can do.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if he's going up to everyone and being like, "Hey, he took away my UTI," I'm like, "You're crazy." It's the
Yeah.
1930s. No one's believing in that stuff. And now firsthand look, they all saw the rat completely get head smushed in, and now he's breathing and he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's important for later because obviously later the guys kind of have to take that leap of faith in believing Paul without seeing. But I think this moment helped them see enough to where they're like, yeah, we're totally with you. Like whatever you say, we're gonna believe because we just witnessed a miracle.
Yeah, because like not to skip ahead too much, but the scene where they're like, "Yo, let's go smuggle a Green Mile inmate out of the prison in the middle of the night."
The biggest human being on the face of the planet.
Yeah, that
Smuggle
like
him
is
out.
insanely hard to get out quietly, because everyone can see him. That wouldn't be able. They wouldn't agree to that at all if they hadn't seen it. They agreed because if he's just like, "Oh, he healed my UTI," and it'd be like, "Dude, you just got healed. Like it's fine. Like it's fine." Totally. So then we've got the bad death of Edouard Delacroix. So in exchange for his promise to transfer to the mental asylum to be a guard there, which is an insane goal, insane. Percy is promised a head position at the execution of Del. Because finally, there's like the straw that broke the camel's back. They're tired of him. They want him gone. So throughout the film, it's obvious that Percy hates Edward. But yeah, again, I've said here, in the book, it's clear that it's from a homophobic position, but through the movie, it's through a question of power. That, like, it's a small man. Like, Edward's, like, 5 foot nothing. That he's a small man. He's a mouse compared to Percy. So Edward laughs at him when he pees his pants. Percy remembers that. It comes to the night of Dell's execution. Percy is super confident, somewhat professional, all up to the point where he says to Dell right before he's in the chair getting strapped up, he's like, "There is no hell. This is just some made up lie that the other guys told you." He says this to a man that's about to go through a pure definition of hell. There is no heaven. Sorry, that was all a lie. It's a pure definition of hell. So he then deliberately keeps the sponge dry. So the reason why the sponge is wet, it's always soaked in brine, is what it's called, and it acts literally like an electric bullet to your brain. So as soon as you get it, then you basically become paralyzed and you're out of it until you're dead. But if not, then you literally get executed. You get electrocuted and burnt. So he deliberately keeps the sponge dry, and Del gets electrocuted and burnt alive. And in the book, it's said it takes over 5 minutes for Del to stop screaming. And then to be pronounced dead, which is nuts. And I got a note here that John Coffey is in his cell crying. What do you think of this scene? This scene is wild.
It's I think apart from the other big scene, this is easily one of the most impactful scenes of the movie. And it's just like it puts that final nail in the coffin that Percy is I can't say the word on YouTube, but Harry, our word.
I see you next Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah.
We use that more liberally this side of the globe, by the way, Kev.
Can I? No, I can't say it.
No, you definitely can't.
But yeah, it's one of, I think, the best coincidentally executed scenes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. That's just the wording. But yeah, it's one of, I don't want to say my favorite scenes.
It's a weird favorite scene if that's your favorite scene.
It's one of the best done scenes.
That and the mouse getting smushed or his
Yeah, I'm starting to get some questions for you, Byron.
Some red flags here, bro.
Yeah. I liked when the mouse died.
No, I didn't fucking say I enjoyed it. I giggled a little bit. Fuck off. Skip. Good scene.
I think I love this scene.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this scene. I think the practical effects are awesome. I
Mhm.
think everything about like his body, him lighting on fire, like the screams, like everything about it was so hauntingly just terrifying. I just loved everything about it. Like it. But yeah, everything like this is why like this is a specific scene that I think directors today should watch and be like, everything doesn't have to be CGI. Like this is just
Exactly.
it
Yes.
felt real. It felt like like you were in it, you were there.
Mhm.
And you also just get this is the moment you just get first-hand look of just how terrible Percy really is. The fact that he doesn't use the brine. You see Tom Hanks' character decide like, okay, I'm going to trust this guy, even though I shouldn't trust this guy to do this, but I want him out of here. You're seeing he's really regretting it. Um, Everything about it is perfect. I think it was
Yeah.
a perfect scene.
Yeah, it was really hard to watch. It was definitely, I think it was actually the hardest one for me to watch, just knowing what it was doing to him, not having that sponge be the way it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, essentially, his brain was alive and awake for all of that pain he had to feel,
Yeah, for 5
which
minutes.
is horrific. I mean, nobody, at least I don't feel like he deserved that. I don't know what he did to be there on death row, but it just felt so icky, regardless of why he was there in the first place.
One line I loved. Sorry to cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I just want to get this all mentioned. One line I loved is when Paul turns Percy and because he's like
Oh,
being
yeah.
a little bitch and he's not looking and he's like, you did
Mhm.
this so you look,
Yeah.
like and he's making him just straight up look at this guy as he's like frying and crying and like screaming and and
That's
that's
one of my
again where
favorite things.
you get a moment where you see like this guy he's so insecure. There's nothing big man about him. He's just a little boy in an adult's body.
Yeah, and I
I
think
love
in a
that.
way it's a good like reminder for him in general, like as a human, like you need to face the things you've done. Just like these guys have had, they have to face it and live with it and then die. Like you need to watch it as you did this. And like he just wants to have power but doesn't want to follow through on anything. And it shows how weak he really is. And I love that moment. That's a great call out.
I think it also shows how strong Brutal is, or Brutus. His nickname's Brutal. Is like when this starts to happen, and like Tom Hanks. I love how Tom Hanks pieces it together, where he looks at the bucket and he sees there's no dribble of water up to O'Brien, whatever it is, up to the thing, and he sees that there's no like overflow onto the mask, and he's just like it's dry, and then like he goes to turn it off, but Brutal stops and he goes, "This has to keep going now. Like we're too late. Like this, we can't stop it now." Which I think is like tough because these guys all feel for him. Like these guys are like now like as we've talked about, like they've seen his human side and seen like they've become like attached to him in a way. Which is it's a heartbreaking scene, but it is so vicious. In the book, it's even more vicious. Like just the way that Stephen King describes gore is one of the best, and just some of the things he says, like I won't say everything, but one thing that's like gonna make you cringe, Ash, so just beware, is that like the first thing that happens is his eyes get fucked up, and the way that it's described is that they're here popping under the hood, and because he's getting heated up to nothing else and he's getting electrocuted, and then like a lot of other stuff happens that is like nuts. But I think this scene is incredibly well done on all accounts, from like even the people in the room just being like at the start being like cheering for it, being like, I hope you burn in hell and stuff like that, and then by the end of it, they're like, oh shit, like
get me out of here.
I mean, the smell of a body burnt, like that's the thing, is
Yeah.
no matter how much you want to pretend like you want to sit there and watch someone get executed, like you don't want that. You don't
No.
want to sit there and smell that as it happens and like
It's
watch
horrible.
the suffering take place.
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
And I think you brought up a good point, Harry, to where like the guys, some of them wanted to turn it off.
Yeah.
And I was watching it. My wife walked into the room and she's like, why don't they just turn it off? I said, it's too far. It's
Yeah.
too far gone
They
now.
can't
The
shoot
guy's
him.
gonna be a vegetable, like might
Yeah.
as well just let it ride it out. And that's the thing, is now they have to sit here and just watch this man just until he's gone.
Yeah, because
It's brutal.
they can't turn it off and turn it back on, because like putting the brine on him, they would get electrocuted themselves from him. But they can't shoot him because that is against the law once he's pronounced onto the death mark for
It's wild.
for what they call riding the lightning, which I think's a fucking great term used in this, like used for this. I love that term. And also the chair in the book is known as Old Sparky. I think that's adorable. But yeah, awesome. So then we get to the night adventure, which I believe is my favorite scene of this entire film. So the boys, so Paul has the boys over so his wife can make them some of her famous apple pie. This apple pie is given so much unnecessary detail in the book. Like it's a good like half page about this apple pie. I'm an apple pie guy. I love apple pie, but like Christ.
Pie guy.
Oh yeah. So Paul explains to them that he doesn't think that coffee did the crime. Why would God give an evil man such a powerful gift? Paul raises a plan. They've all seen what John can do now. He tells them that he cured his UTI, and his wife agrees. There's a chance they can save Mel, which is the warden's wife. They have to try. After some talks, they all agree. They drug the hell out of Wild Bill. They put a straitjacket on Percy and throw him in a padded room. And on the way out of the Green Mile, after getting John coffee, Wild Bill grabs coffee. And John obviously has a vision of him because he has a really shocked look. They take John to the warden's house and he performs a miracle. I love this scene of him walking down up the stairs. He's like, "You stay back there, boss." And because this scene of just like Coffee knows what he has to do. Like even like they go up to his cell, he's like, "We're going for a ride, boss." He's like, "Yes." And then like they're in the coach. He's like, "What do you think we're doing?" He's like, "I'm helping them." And like he knows what he's about to do, which I think is really important. They get back to the prison. John shows Paul a vision of what he saw when he touched Wild Bill, that he killed the two girls that Coffee was convicted for. They unlock prison from Percy from the padded cell. I love this. This is like the most like justice here of the entire film, I think. John grabs him and pours all the evil that he took from Mel's body and puts it into Percy's body, possessing him. So Percy then, in a tranquil state, kills Wild Bill, 2 birds, 1 stone. Then Percy turns into a vegetable himself. And then, ironically, at the end of the scene, Percy's sent to the mental asylum that he was supposed to work at. I think that's really, really
That's
ironic
right.
and beautiful.
That's called justice.
Absolutely. So what do you guys think of this? Like, of the whole scene of basically them, Paul convincing them to save Mel, saving Mel. I love that. I love that scene so much. And then, of course, the death of Wild Bill and the vegetable state of Percy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really, before I forget, the scene of him going like into the house. Patricia Arquette. That's not Patricia Arquette. What is her name? God, I know her name and I'm blanking on it. But the actress that plays the wife. Sorry, Patricia. I know it's not you, but her name is, I think, also Patricia. But her like screams and like things that she's saying in the background, if you really like listen to what she's saying while they're all kind of like getting in there and talking and dealing with the husband, it is heartbreaking. Like she has just given up completely and it's just like so gone. Like it sounds like cries for help, but it's just like so heartbreaking to listen to. So then seeing her come out of that and like be well, it was one of the more emotional moments I think for me in the movie.
Patricia
just
Clarkson.
seeing like what he can do. What is it?
Patricia Clarkson.
Thank you. I knew it was Patricia.
And to add on to your point, yes, I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but it was mentioned in the movie. It's also very harped on in the book. Is that with this tumor, she's not herself, and she starts specifically the warden tells him, the warden's name's Hal Moores, tells Paul that she starts swearing a lot, and that's what you can hear in the background.
I kind of laughed at that though, and it's like, my wife's not herself. She's swearing. I'm like, oh yeah, it's 1935. Like women couldn't swear apparently.
Yeah, she called him like a pig fucker when he walked in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Like in the book, he like they get to the house, and there's just like you see this Hal, who's out there, you cocksucker? Like she's like very much like this is like the last stage of her life for sure.
One thing I loved about the scene, just to go back to your point earlier here, is that this is like very religious. This is a Jesus depiction, you know, like him walking into that room. Think about it, it's 1930s in the South. You got this huge black man walking in a white woman's room. You know, her first instinct is like, what the hell is going on? But he's there to help her. And like him having to, it was kind of the same with Jesus. He had a lot of naysayers, doubters, individuals that didn't necessarily like believe in what he was trying to do, but John had that calming sense of him that he was able to kind of like, you know, tell her, betray that, hey, I'm here to help you, you know, let me help you. And one thing I loved and I laughed kind of hard was when they were getting him out, and like he's just like looking at the stars, and he's saying something about like, "Hey, do you see
The little
someone swinging on the?"
constellation. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
So
like, "Come on, John, we gotta go, man. Like, let's
yeah.
go." Like he's just acting like a little child, and it's again another moment where you're like, this guy is so like gentle and nice, and like, and they're just like, "Come on, we gotta go, man. Like, let's go, let's get it going." And he's just like, "Look at that up there." And he's like,
Yeah.
"There's just like, we don't have time for this, bro."
One before I jump to you, Byron, one aspect of before I forget, there's a really awesome little scene in the book, is when they're getting John out and they have to go through the chair door, the chair room, which is like this random storage shed that like for majority of the time is just like full of a tractor. Why is a tractor in a prison? That like there's like all these little things, but
30s, Harry.
oh yeah, 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 that's like the excuse of every question in this movie. Yeah, it's the 30s.
30s.
But John walks past and they try and block his view, but he's a giant, so they can't really block his view. And he says he's staring at it with like eyes, and they're like, "Don't worry, John." He's like, "No, boss, I can see them." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I can still see them. There's still pieces of them there, and they're screaming," which is
Oh my God.
haunting.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
haunting.
yeah, which is crazy. Byron, what do you think of this scene, mate?
Yeah, I think the house scene is I agree with Kev when someone of that guy's nature is just in your house and he's walking up the stairs and he goes into your room, your first instinct is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I think it's again one of the more impactful scenes of this movie. I'd probably say top three.
Yep.
It's one of the best scenes of this movie, and it just gives an extra level of character development, which is, in my eyes, one of the biggest aspects of this movie. And mixed with that deliberate pacing that I've brought up a couple times now, it just creates such a good. It just makes the scene so much better. And then the scene with Percy, it's just like it's that like fuck yeah. It's like it's that fuck yeah scene.
It's justice. It's like even though
Yeah.
like these murderers are getting executed,
Exactly.
this is justice. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's good scene.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so then we got John's last days and execution. So after realizing that John is innocent, Paul becomes distraught at the thought of executing him and offers to let him go. He's like, "What do I need to do here, John? Do I just need to get you out of here and let you go?" Like, although equally distraught at the outcome, John tells Paul that his execution will be an act of mercy, as he views the world as a cruel place and is in constant pain from the suffering that people inflict on each other, which is so haunting to hear. This is really the point where the religious kind of representations really take form. So one thing that he's never done is go to the pictures, though. So that's his last request. So they take him to the cinema room in the prison to watch Top Hat, the movie from the beginning. So this is the scene. This scene, I believe, is perfectly acted by Michael Clarke Duncan. This was his last request. The night of his execution comes. All the officers tell him that they're with him all the way. This whole crowd is against him. He doesn't want to put the hood on, as again, he's afraid of the dark, so we can all see Coffee's face as he rides the lightning. All officers watching great sorrow, and that scene is truly heartbreaking. Like when Dean is one of the officers, the younger one, or Harry is the older one. Dean's putting on the straps and he's crying. He's like, "Wipe your face, officer, before you get up." And they're like, by the end of it, they're all crying, which is like, I think is really well done. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that scene I think is my favorite. Just like the whole process of taking him to the theater, realizing that that's why the movie broke him. Just all the realizations that kind of take place, and also just like the humanity piece and like all that comes back. I mean, I know that how like the religious symbolism is there too, but I think even just the humanity and like faith in humanity and just like obviously watching all these people, they think they've lost their faith like in humanity because they think this man did this horrible thing when really we're all having to watch him face bare, like uncovered, like watch this innocent man go, but he's like at peace with it in a sense. It's just
an act of mercy.
It's just so heartbreaking, and it says so much about people. And even to think that a movie like this was made in the 90s, set in the 30s, and these feelings that you get still occurred to this day, like people doing horrible. It's just, there's just so much that you can think about there and like chew on. But yeah, I cried in this scene for sure. Seeing the young officer's face, it was like seeing like he looked like a little kid somehow, just like crying and just like so broken. And I don't know. how upset all of them were, I feel like it was really easy to connect as an audience member and feel like those emotions.
Absolutely. Kev?
Well, this, in my opinion, this was one of the best acted scenes in the entire movie because like the whole thing is just like you, this is where you need a good cast is because
Yes.
they
Could you
were
see
able
Shaq
to
doing this, Kev? Could you see Shaq doing this?
no, like, but the thing is like it's just like even without even speaking, it's just like the facial expressions, the just the sorrow that they're showing just from their facial expression. They don't have to say anything. We already feel what they're feeling. Um, Again, religious symbolism, the fact that John Coffey is at peace with what's going on, even though he knows he's getting screwed, is a semblance of like, all right, I'm going to give myself up for humanity. But it's more so I think showing the officers in a light of like this has just become a job to them. It's like, okay, we're just going to execute this guy. It's done. And now they're put in a position where they feel like what's happening shouldn't be happening. And it's the first time they feel that way. Even with what happened with Edard, with the whole issue with him getting shocked, they even asked Paul and he said, well, he's dead. The job is done.
It's a successful
Like
execution.
there was no it was almost like no remorse because like in their eyes like they're just getting a job done. This is the first time in their careers or jobs where they feel like this isn't a job anymore. We know what we're doing now. This is almost not right in a sense.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Absolutely. Before I pass it to you guys, one point I forgot to mention as well. In the book, we don't see Hal or his wife anymore because they're like now, like Hal's just appreciating that she's alive and she's gone alive. But Hal has to sign the DOE, which is date of execution for John, and it's delivered to Paul by by a messenger. And there's like tear marks on it, like there's tear stains. So you could see that like Hal did not want to sign this, but he has to. It's part of the job, which I think is right. Yeah. Byron, what do you think of the same?
Yeah, the theater scene is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and it's the scene that makes the opening why I think is one of the best openings ever.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's another scene helping the first scene be an all-time great, which is just fantastic. I fucking love the camera work in the theater scene where it's showing just how happy he is watching the movie, which I've just added to my watch list.
Top hat, nice.
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Why not?
And the camera just slowly like pans to the side, and it's Tom Hanks over his shoulder watching on. It's just like, fuck. That was just like, it just makes the first scene so much better. The execution scene is by far the most emotional scene of the movie, in my opinion. I mean, it is literally the main scene. It's great, and I think it's just it's a good payoff in the terms of like how these characters were all written, because that evokes like every emotion from not only the characters inside the movie but all the viewers, because it's all leading up to this one moment. And I think that one moment was not only acted perfectly, but I think it's also been directed perfectly. I think it's one of the most impactful scenes probably of all time. It's definitely one of the saddest and most depressing. I think it's just a perfect scene.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think everything about these couple of scenes here are perfect. I started bawling when Paul goes into his cell. He's like, "What do I need to do, John? What do I need to do?" Like he's desperate to kind of make this right because he knows that he shouldn't kill him. That's like his main thing. Which will explain like another callback to that. But I love the cinema scene as well. I think it's beautiful. It's really, I just love the panning shot, and he's like in one of the front rows, just smiling up to the screen, and then like you see all the different guards just like they're not like on duty. They're just sitting down, just like so relaxed because they know that's how much they trust him now. Like, which I think is really represented. And the execution scene, I really love how at first the crowd is all against him and that's the forefront, but they actively make that the background by the end of it. They zone the crowd out. Like the crowd get almost 0 shots by the end of it, which is I think really well done, really well executed. So we get to the last point. Back to the present day. Paul explains to Elaine that was his last execution he did on the mile. Both Brutus and him resigned the next day. One thing that doesn't add up to her and what didn't add up to Ash at the beginning of this film is the timeline. This doesn't make sense. How was he 40? So Paul reveals that he's 108 years old and was 44 when John Coffey died. So in the book, it's more explained that Elaine's 80, and she's like, and he's like, how old do you think I am? She's like, I think you're a bit younger than me. So she thinks that he's in his 70s, but he's actually 108. So when he got healed, a part of John's power must have gone to him. He then describes I love this. He describes that this is his punishment for letting him die by outliving everyone that he knows and loves. We then find out that Mr. Jinkles, the fucking rat, is still alive and as his extended lifespan as well, and is living in a shed next to a retirement village because that's where we always want to spend our last years. Paul tales about how everyone he has known and loved has passed him in life and is now gone, and then we end on Elaine's funeral, which in the book only happened a couple of months later. So Elaine just died in her sleep. So end on Elaine's funeral. And Paul muses about how much longer he has left to live, saying, quote, "We each owe a death. There's no exceptions, but oh God, sometimes the Green Mile seems so long." The end. What do you guys think about this ending? This little callback and kind of tie up of everything.
Perfect ending.
Amen.
I think it's a perfect ending.
Amen.
And off thoughts, I kind of want to make a ranking now of like certain scenes, because I think this is also one of the best endings to a movie.
Yep.
Ever. I think it's fucking perfect.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it does a great job at like spending the same amount of time in the beginning as it does at the end. So it's like, say you have 30 minutes combined, 15 roughly, maybe a little bit less, like of the beginning and the end, and then the rest is all them back in the 30s. I think that makes it feel like a really nice story. Feels very like complete in that sense. But I also just really love that in the retirement or old folks home, he's walking through the building and it's also a green floor. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first things I noticed towards the end. I was like he literally can't escape that time in his life, like ever. He's just gonna have to live with it for as long as he is here.
Amen. Okay.
If there's one thing Frank Darabont could do is an ending. It's a great ending. Shawshank's a great ending. Hell, the fucking Mist.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel about that ending,
yeah.
it's still a good ending.
I remember I saw your video on The Mist and I commented on this. Like, man, fuck this movie, dude. I hated that ending.
What a movie.
Oh
What a movie.
God, that ending.
It's so
killed me.
polarizing. That's the definition of a polarizing ending.
That movie's
Yeah.
shit.
You know it's a good ending when you change Stephen King's ending and Stephen King still liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was perfect. It tied up everything you needed to tie up. I like that he got a little bit of John's powers. That way he kind of has to live with that. The fact that he has to outlive everyone else when he essentially took a life that was innocent. It's poetic in a sense.
Yep.
So I think it was perfect. No complaints.
Absolutely. And one aspect I just want to touch on before I get your final thoughts, guys, is like one fact I skipped over in the book is how Paul realizes why John's innocent before he sees the vision, because he goes through all the evidence. And there's one point in the story, he's just like, he takes off his shoe, Paul takes off his shoe and passes it to John in the cell and goes, "Can you tie this shoe?" And he tries and does the crisscross. He goes, "Someone taught me when I was a boy, but I don't much remember." So he doesn't know how to tie a knot. And this is because the two girls that died, their family, they have a big bloodhound or big dog outside their house. And what they found out because they looked in the stomach of the dog is that someone had thrown sausages at the dog and gone a step closer, thrown another sausage, gone a step closer, kind of gained the trust of the dog and then broken the neck. So John had, when he was arrested, he had just a lump in his pocket, which was his lunch, which was tied in a knot by the butcher, because he gets his lunch from the butcher. And they didn't question the butcher about the sausages, but he wouldn't have been able to untie it, get the sausages out, throw it, and then tie it back up. That's one of the main things. And also, it was noted in the evidence, which is crazy that the jury didn't bring this up, that the court didn't bring this up, is that when searching for the girls, they had bloodhounds, and they went up to this little patch of grass that had blood everywhere, and that's presumably where they got killed. But the girls weren't there, and the bloodhounds wanted to go due south, but instead they hear John Coffey like screaming north, so they go north, even though the bloodhounds wanted to go south, which was evidently where Wild Bill was. So John, we don't know exactly why he moved the bodies. It was either that he was afraid of like what was happening, or that he's afraid that Wild Bill was still around, so he kind of took them and like tried to do it elsewhere. And so that's kind of like the main reasons why Paul's like, I don't think he did this, because he wouldn't have done it at all. And also, like, one aspect I saw when watching the movie, I was like, why are these kids sleeping on a porch? But it can't be just like, oh, it's the 30s. But it's because that night it's like camping for them. They're like, can we go sleep out on the porch so that we can watch the stars while we sleep? Which is quite evident. But guys, I want to finish up on this review, but like just going around the grounds, like what are your quick end thoughts like of the entire film? Give me your favorite scene that really sticks out to you, and your score out of 5. Kev, I want to start with you.
All right, so my favorite scene, it's weird to say favorite scene because I didn't enjoy this scene, but I still like the faulty execution.
Yep.
I still like that everything about that scene is perfection, from the practical effects to the tension to the screenplay, the dialogue. Everything about that scene is great. That and the house scene as well. Those are like two of my favorite scenes from the movie. I will say, not trying to give everything positive, I do think that there's a couple moments where they could have cut out. I think, obviously some movies can be 4 hours, some movies could be whatever, 3.5, it doesn't matter. I did find a couple moments of dead space where I felt like there could have been chopped up a little bit. The mouse stuff could have been chopped up a little bit, to where we could have kind of moved things along a little bit, maybe get more into John Coffey's story a little more earlier. But the acting was superb. I do think even everything I said, I do think the majority of the pacing was pretty good. And ending is perfect. And usually in a story like this, you want the ending to be as good as possible because you're setting up everything for that moment. And I think it was set up perfectly. Payoff was great. It's funny, I was gonna give it a 4 out of 5. But after talking about it more, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Hell yeah.
I do think if I watched it again or a couple more times, it could get up to a 5. I just feel like the performances are so good across the board. Like, it's probably one of the most well acted films I've ever seen. And I loved it.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Ash.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think for me, what solidifies it is just how well it like opens and closes. Like, it kind of makes some of that middle fluff not as noticeable for me. But yeah, I think the cast is definitely a standout. I think the directing is definitely a standout as well. I really love that. Like, for me, I feel like Paul is just such a relatable character. He's just like such a real human being. Like, he just has this innate sense about him that just makes him so relatable. Like, he sees the good in so much. Yeah, he's just such a like he's just so human, which is, I mean, obviously, but it's nice to feel like movie characters can be so authentic and not feel so like overdone or over stretched to where you're like, this isn't believable. But I do think the length and like some of those filler scenes, I think because it's a book, I think I make more excuses for it not bothering me when I know it's coming from like a specific source material, maybe. But I also give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think it could very easily go up on rewatches, but I'm with Byron. I feel like there's just like something about it for me that's keeping it from that 5, but I love so many moments in it. My favorite scene, I think, is the house scene and that whole kind of unfolding of getting him there and healing her. But I also really love when he like gets to heal the mouse. I don't know. It was something about that, like them all getting to witness it for the first time. I absolutely love.
Amen. Byron?
Yeah, I think that it's I think what makes this movie for me is the performances. Everything in this movie feels deliberate, and it also feels important. Um, Again, I think there's just something in here that something about it is just not saying 5 out of 5 stars. Um, it's a 4.5 for me. Maybe another rewatch could push it to a 5. As of right now, it is my fifth highest ranked 4.5. um, because yeah, it ranks like amongst some movies. It's like other movies that just miss out on that perfect rating.
Yeah.
My favorite scene, maybe not necessarily favorite scene, but I think the best scene and the most impactful scene is Coffee's execution.
Yep.
But more importantly, the final handshake.
Yeah.
Like that one shot of the handshake. That's my favorite part of the movie. I
I love
think
how
that
sorry.
perfectly encapsulates it.
I love how he does that in front of the whole crowd. The whole
Yeah,
crowd's
exactly.
looking at him,
Yeah,
and he goes up and does that. Yeah,
yeah.
I
Just a
yeah,
good callback.
I adore this movie. I think this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think this is Tom Hanks's best role. Everything about this movie just affect like this is one of those movies I watched as a kid and just like continues to affect me. Which is crazy. And the more I watch it, the more I love it. After reading it, I truly recommend reading it. It's very true to its source, but you get these little background details that I think is just really, really important and great. But yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I do believe it's one of the best acted performances that I've seen in the 90s, specifically from Tom Hanks. I agree with you, Ash. I think the importance of it is because it's just so subtle and human, which again,
Yeah.
it goes, you don't get those fucking performances anymore. You get performances where they just try and be something different or a bit extra to get an award.
hmm
Well, probably not to get an award, but to kind of make a legacy.
No, it's true. They almost like they think they're doing it authentically, but it comes off like so overdone, like where you know they're acting. Whereas it didn't even feel like an actor. I felt like I was just watching somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we that's what we think of The Green Mile. I've got a couple of my favorite letterbox reviews that I'll be going through, guys, and just I'll just scream through them so that we can all just react. Shannon says that the movie is literally centered around murderers, and yet I still hate Percy more than anyone else. 4.5 out of 5.
Yes.
Right. Adam Bolt says there's a part where the mouse crawled onto Tom Hanks and I audibly said Tom and Jerry and then laughed at my own joke. So very good movie. 4 out of 5.
God damn it.
Nikki D316 says the Green Mile is equivalent to running a marathon. You're drained by the end, yet grateful and satisfied by the experience. This is beautiful, powerful piece of work with a remarkable performance by Tom Hanks and Michael Clark Duncan. 4.5 out of 5. Matthew L. Bradley says if you play this movie backwards, you basically get Frank Darabont's Frankenstein. 5 out of 5, which I think is awesome.
It's fucked.
And Sarah says, what the fuck? I've never seen this, and I always thought it was about running. 4.5 out of 5, because the Green Mile.
Fucking what?
The title is confusing if you
Say.
don't know.
It's great. So that's what we think about the Green Mile. So we will be moving on to our draft of the week, which is going to be all around one of the people that have the biggest filmographies in the world, which is Tom Hanks. So there's going to be 4 of us, of course. But for the draft order, I did it on the side. Kev, because you're our guest, we're going to give you draft pick 1-1, first pick. But then the draft order, I've got proof here that it's going to be me, then Byron, then Ash. So sorry, Ash.
All right,
But Ash,
okay,
actually,
so-
you get the double pick at the end of the first, which I think is actually super well done. So Kev, with your first pick of all Tom Hanks movies, what do you pick?
It's tough. This man has a filmography like none other,
Yeah,
but it's just a personal favorite of mine. I'm going Saving Private Ryan.
I think that's a valid
That would
valid
have been my
pick.
first pick too.
Yeah, I would have
It's
probably.
the only movie I wanted.
That's
You knew
cool.
that wasn't gonna get
Yeah.
to you.
Harry
You weren't-
Harry would take. I know. I'm pretty sure if Kev didn't take it, I don't think Harry would have.
That's true. He would have took Green Mile probably.
Yeah, unless you took it. So there was a chance I was going to get there.
Yeah.
So you're saying
I'll-
the's a chance.
He's saying there's a chance.
Sorry.
I'm gonna go Pinocchio. No, I'm gonna go the Green Mile. I think the Green Mile is for me. It's my favorite Tom Hanks movie.
Fuck. Yeah, those are it's easily the 1-2.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of slept on ones.
he
Yeah, oh
does.
yeah, there definitely are. Fuck, there's a lot of garbage in here though.
There is.
Holy shit. I will go. Fuck those. I will do it. I'm gonna go with Catch Me If You Can.
Ooh,
great pick.
wow,
Great pick.
I like that.
Great pick.
I do like Catch Me If You Can. It's a very high 4.5.
I like that pick. Ash, you got 2 here.
I do. All right. Well, since it's made it back to me, I'm taking it, which is one of my favorites, and that is A League of Their Own.
No, damn it! I was gonna try and get that. Damn. I love
Yes,
it.
pick movies I haven't seen. Go, yes.
Oh, you need to watch A League of
Yes.
Their Own, man. League of Their
It's
Own's
fantastic.
great. Yeah.
And I'm really torn. I'm gonna go with one of my favorites from childhood, and that is Toy Story, the original.
The original.
That is my favorite one.
Wow, interesting. Great
Let's
pick.
go.
I know.
Byron.
Second round, I'm gonna go with just my next highest rated, which is Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3. Nice work. I'm gonna pick the incredible film Ron Howard, Apollo 13.
Nice.
I watched that a couple days ago.
It's a great movie.
I thought I gave it a 4, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
Kev, my man, you got
I-
2 here, mate.
I get 2 here, right?
Yep.
I'm between a couple movies. Man, there's so many that are kind of in that same like realm. I don't just want to pick a bunch of Toy Story movies.
Yeah, you can, though, right?
Toy Story 2, Toy Story
It's
4.
on- it's
I am
2
gonna
left.
go with maybe a hot take. I'm gonna go with Castaway.
Nice.
Byron hasn't seen
That's
it.
the biggest one I haven't seen.
Byron
they're
never
still,
heard
they're
of
still giving me
Castaway.
shit. Yeah, well, fuck off.
How
And
have
then
you
I'm-
never heard of Castaway?
When did the
That's-
movie come out?
In
Way
2000?
before you were
2000,
born.
You're older than me. I don't know.
Yeah, but Fellowship of the
should've-
Ring is older than you, Byron.
Yeah,
so-
that's wild. That's actually kind of fucking crazy.
And then I'm gonna go with Captain Phillips.
Oh, I like that pick.
Oh, interesting.
That last pick where he's like, "Am I right? Like, am I dead?" Like
Yeah.
that was unreal. Oh wow, okay. I didn't think you were gonna go there. Well, I'm gonna go with what I think is my favorite Toy Story, with Toy Story 2.
Nice. I love the second one.
So do I.
Yeah. One's fucking dope.
Sorry, Kev.
Fourth one slept on. All right.
Round my third pick. Fuck, I'm running out quick. I think it's a little overrated, but I still think it. I also think it's overhated. That's Forrest Gump.
Damn it.
I like that pick. I think it's severely overhated as well. I think
Definitely
I
overrated.
thought it would make it back to
Yeah.
me, so I was gonna wait to
Yeah,
take it.
it's a 4 out of 5 for me. I don't think it's like exceptional, but
I think
fucking great.
it's one of those things that I think people think it's cool to hate on Forrest Gump.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's definitely become what it's actually the first movie that really like got me into film. I was like 7 and we owned it on VHS. I think I watched it like my brothers still joke about it. I think I watched it like
VHS.
maybe 5 times a week for like a year straight. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah. I like Michael Bolton as a Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I also sorry, Ash, I forgot to include a little fun fact that Tom Hanks accepted the role as Paul Edgecombe as a favor to Frank Darabont, as he was forced to turn down the role of Andy Dufresne in The Shawshank because he had accepted Forrest Gump.
interesting. So he got to come back and do it. I think this was a better role for him,
Yes,
honestly.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, I'm bummed now. I don't get Forrest Gump, but I will take
There's one that I hope you don't.
one that I really enjoy, and that's Sleepless in Seattle.
Great pick. That was on my list.
Yes, I'm so glad you guys.
Sleepless in
picking
Seattle is like one of the two, and that's the better one. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God, now I'm not so sure.
Please don't do it.
I think I'm gonna take Philadelphia. I'm
Nice.
sorry.
No. It's good. That was going to be my fifth if no one had it, but I don't think it was going to make it to me. Byron.
There are movies I definitely rate higher, but this one is just too much fun, and it is another animated movie, and it is not Toy Story.
I got this. Yeah, I was going to tell this.
I'm gonna go with the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, because he plays himself. Great pick. I'm going.
I
With
thought you were gonna fucking say Polar Express.
Me too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Polar Express?
He doesn't like
No.
Christmas.
Yeah.
No, what the fuck?
But it's
I
got
don't
snow in it
dislike
though, so
Christmas,
it kind
I just
of.
don't care.
But it's but
Polar
it's
Express is eh.
yeah. Polar Express is very except for the hot chocolate scene. Holy smokes, hot chocolate. Speaking of fun, I'm gonna go with the movie that I love from my childhood, even though it was released well before that. I adore this movie. I'm gonna go Big.
Nice.
Alright. Nice.
Kev, you got the last two of yours, mate.
I get last two here. Okay. This is tough. This is like now we're at like just all mediocre almost. Not mediocre, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Sully.
Nice,
Sully.
good pick.
like Sully.
I love Sully.
And then
Being the Hudson.
fuck it. I'm taking Toy Story 4.
Nice, good work.
We all got a Toy Story
It
movie.
had to happen. It had to happen. Which is crazy to think, like, when Toy Story 5 comes out, that means that there's 3 more movies in the Toy Story universe that are so unnecessary. Like,
I know
it
it's
should
not-
have finished at 3, and then, like, the Toy Story 4, Buzz, like Lightyear, which I liked Lightyear.
I
thought
was
Lightyear
about to
was
say,
fun.
just out of
Oh,
curiosity, what do you guys think
Lightyear.
about Lightyear?
Yeah, I thought
Trash.
And
Really? Fuck.
I
It's
enjoyed
my
such a
it.
good
worst.
one.
It's my worst. It's my worst Pixar movie.
Me
Wow.
and a
On my
couple
ranking.
guys went to not our local town, but we drove like a couple hours to a theater just to watch
Wow.
it, and then I mean, 2 of us were intoxicated, but fuck, we had the best time there.
That's
Hey.
awesome.
The fucking cat
Oh, oath.
was the best.
Oh, the cat's great. For my last round pick, I'm gonna go. I love this movie. I don't feel like it's not talked about enough. I'm gonna go The Terminal.
I still haven't
Good.
seen that one.
Oh, The Terminal's.
I think the
great.
Spielberg one, right?
Terminals. I almost said the Terminator. Fuck.
There's so many
Uh-huh.
Tom Hanks movies that I feel like just all the same almost. Like
Yeah, they're all just like.
Yeah.
or have
The Terminal.
like the
yeah,
same names. I have the same.
Yeah.
It's like
I reckon
Yeah.
the Terminal definitely falls on like the more forgotten side.
Mhm.
It's
of,
great. I love that
his
movie.
filmography. I think it's alright. It's
Byron,
3 out of 5, I think.
What's your last?
Um, There's nothing wrong with a 3 out of 5. It's still a positive rating. My last pick, I'll just take my highest rated movie that I've left, which is last year's Asteroid City.
Nice.
Oh, I forgot he's.
still
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
I did
Yeah.
not love it as much as.
Neither
Good
did I
movie,
at
but
all.
very, very, very
I
polarizing.
think I gave it a 2.5.
I gave
Oh,
it
wow,
a
really?
4.
I'm
Yeah.
still struggling as Wes. I'm not a big Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Neither am
Personally.
I.
Yeah, it's mostly
Which
like
is
an
why it's
aesthetic for
surprising.
him, and I feel like either it hits for me or it doesn't, and it's like half and half, or it hits or doesn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay, the
Ash,
final
finish this
pick.
up.
Oh, I'm between 2.
Pinocchio and
Honestly,
Borat.
just for like the nostalgia of it, because I watched this movie so much when I was like in high school. I don't know why, but I'm gonna take the Da Vinci Code.
Oh my god. Wow. Wow.
It
There's
was
a
either
lot.
that or the Elvis from 2022, which I just don't like Tom Hanks' role in that
No,
movie.
he's
I
awful
really
in that.
don't. So
He's
I
awful
can't
in
pick
that.
it on good
At least you
conscience.
didn't take Inferno. So
Fucking
Yeah.
I
Angels,
know.
Angels and
Inferno's-
Demons went undrafted. What?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it's got a 3.1 on Letterboxd. It's not that bad compared to other movies of his.
Interesting. Of the ones that are still left on the table, of course, a Road to Perdition, Bridge of Spies. I thought was going to get taken. The Burbs. I love the Burbs. Polar Express, as he said. Joe versus the Volcano. And You Got
Post.
Mail. In the Post.
I haven't seen
Is
some
the
of those
post
ones that you're
good? I haven't
talking
seen it. I'm
No,
just-
I didn't like the Post. That's why I didn't put it on my
Oh.
list. But to edge it out, so Kev had Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, Captain Phillips, Sully, Toy Story 4. Myself, Harry, I had The Green Mile, Apollo 13, Toy Story 2, Big, and The Terminal. Byron had Catch Me If You Can, Toy Story 3, Forrest Gump, The Simpsons movie, and Asteroid City. Ash had A League of Their Own. Oh, fuck, I love The League of Their Own. A League of Their Own, Toy Story, Sleepless in Seattle, Philadelphia, and then The Da Vinci Code. So let us know in the comments who you think won. So then we're moving on to our next section, our last section of the show, which is trivia. Me versus Kev. General movie trivia, hopefully nothing too crazy. But it's going to be Ash and Byron asking us the questions. And over to you, Ash and Byron.
Yeah, I think Byron's got the first question. We're going to take turns. There's 10 questions, so we'll try to get through all of them. The way that we do trivia, Kev, is it's not so much like first come, first serve. Just write down your answer. Let us know when you got it, and you guys can reveal it at the same time. But if you both get it, you both get a point. So it's just a point system. It's not like you have to rush to it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right.
You could draw.
You could draw if you'd like, Pictionary style. But yeah, take it away, Byron.
Do it.
So the first question: where were the Lord of the Rings movies filmed?
Very.
Hmm.
Not if it's easy,
I
but
wonder.
it feels like an easy one. Okay, Kev's got his answer. Harry, don't look yet.
Oh,
You got
right.
your
I already
answer?
wrote down.
Okay.
Yeah. New Zealand, yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
yes.
Mine might be
Middle-earth
flipped. I
itself.
think mine's flipped, but yours isn't flipped on my screen, Kev, if it looks flipped on yours. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
they
New
both
Zealand.
read. They both read nice. Yeah. Yes. The kingdom.
The king.
1
You
point.
should have said black sheep.
Middle of fucking black, bro. If no one's seen Black Sheep, put that on your watch list. Watch it.
All
Yep.
right, let's
Black
jump
Sheep's
into the
awesome.
next question. What was the top grossing movie of 2014? 10 years ago, which is crazy.
It is crazy considering some of the
2014.
movies like that are in 2014. It's just like
I have
holy
no
Mhm.
idea.
8
And if you really don't know, you don't have to write something. You can just pass if you want, or you can guess if you're not sure.
Which Marvel movies are out that year, Kev?
I know. I'm trying to.
2014.
2014. It's a fucking stacked year. Widely considered as one of the best years in cinema history.
All right. I can't read what you got. It's
Is
blurred.
it blurry? Oh, it's because my blurry background. I
You
got
can read
Age
it
of
to me.
I got Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Transformers 4.
All right, you're both wrong. It was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. My favorite.
Fucking Kev was on the right track of thinking fucking Marvel.
Yeah,
Age
you
of
had the
Ultron,
right
how much
idea.
did Age of Ultron make? Like a ton.
I think Age of Ultron might have been 2015, actually.
I think I was close at
Was
least.
it?
So I was-
I thought it was 2015.
Oh
I could
yeah,
be
I
wrong.
think it is.
All right.
Yeah,
Byron,
because
you're up.
it was Winter Soldier was the other 2014 release.
Mhm.
Question number 3: what is the name of Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park?
It is hard once you're on the spot. I
I
know.
have no fucking clue. And
Kev,
I've
I
seen that-
lose trivia every time. Don't even.
And I've seen that movie so
I
many
know,
times.
it's so
What
hard.
is his name?
It's like those random like facts that like everyone should know. It's just like, oh, fuck, I don't know.
I don't know, Harry.
Okay,
You go for
Harry,
it.
what you got?
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike.
Harry is a wizard with trivia.
No,
too, so don't
no, he's not a wizard. He's a fucking nerd.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Wizard Harry. All right. This one might be kind of hard. What was the first feature-length film Bradley Cooper ever starred in? His film debut.
Oh man, I don't know.
I don't think anyone knows this.
Maybe this was too much of a
I was
me
reading the
question.
questions. I was like, fucking what?
That?
My bad.
That's
It's
all
hard to think of trivia questions, all right?
right. I know.
No, not Wedding
Oh,
Crashers.
damn. I know he was in Sex and the City.
No, it's actually Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, there you go.
I don't even know
A couple
what that
years
movie is.
before.
I literally just did a video on that. I'm so
Oh, no. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
I did a video on like casts that were good before they were famous. And
Yep.
he was
We had the same thought. He's the brother. He's the dickhead brother in
He's
Wedding
annoying in
Crashers.
Wedding
Yeah.
Crashers.
it was
A
probably
couple
his
years
first like
later.
big role. That was
Yeah.
probably like his first like
Memorable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question number 5. How many movies do Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore appear in together?
Don't overthink it.
Ash, do you want to give it to closest wins? If neither of them actually
Possibly.
get it.
Okay. I see yours, Kev. You're good. You can put it down. I want to make sure. See what Harry says.
3?
Yep, you both got it right.
I got Blended,
Great.
Wedding Singer, and 51st, right?
I'm not
Yep.
giving you fucking shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I got Wedding Singer and Wedding Singer and 51st. I'm like, there's one other. I know there's like,
Yep.
I can't remember, but it's Blended. Yeah.
What's the score?
3-2.
All right.
And we're on question 6. So we got 5 questions left.
Let's go.
All right. A little bit of a Christmas themed one here. What is the name of the department store in Elf where he meets Jovi?
Oh, I mean, to be fair,
When I
I don't
wrote
know.
this, it was when we were supposed to be talking Christmas.
I have no fucking clue. I don't even have a guess. Fucking Macy's.
Oh, no.
Gimbals?
Yes.
God, I hate
Gimbal.
you. How do you know that?
Kev, the
There's
thing
no way
is,
you know.
He's
I
a
love
nerd.
you, Kev. I
What
love
does?
you.
I think this next one might have been a little too hard, so I apologize in
I did
advance.
watch Elf like just
Uh,
before Christmas.
Yeah, Ash.
I'm so sorry about this one.
Bring it. Let's go. Bring it.
Question 7. What movie holds the record for the most retakes of a single scene?
Oh.
I really regret this one.
This one's not impossible.
Okay, I see it.
Can you read my handwriting?
Yeah, I can. Unfortunately, not correct.
You know what scene I'm thinking about, though, right?
Yeah.
The Trey scene, Spider-Man.
Is it The Shining?
Yes,
Such
it
a
is The
nerd.
Shining. Of course, Harry gets it right. Of
Such
course.
a nerd.
Because it's the one with because it's with the kid.
It's with Danny. Yeah.
Oh, it's not the door. It's not the door scene.
No.
Great question.
It's when Danny's
I remember
being told
seeing
about
something on
his
TikTok
ability.
about that, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What is?" I
It's
was like,
such bullshit. This
I mean,
needs to
I don't
stop.
do well with losing. This is not
I'm
good.
sorry. Trust
Okay.
me, I've won one game in 15 episodes we've done. One.
"Well, Kev, you're on the #1 movie podcast. That's already winning in a sense,
Yeah,
right? You
it's
get to
true.
be on a
There you go.
podcast with Ash. It's crazy. I get to do it everywhere. It's nuts. It's crazy.
All I've ever wanted.
And Byron.
Okay. So Super Bad was
Okay.
the film debut for 2 actors. Please name both of those actors. Don't worry about spelling.
I just like the I always struggle
Yeah, we don't grade on spelling on this podcast.
every time I have to spell this person's name. It's just like, wait, is that right? No, I don't know.
Half
Is
right.
the second
You
one
get-
wrong?
you get
Second one
1
wrong?
point.
Yeah, I know which
Or
one. I know
half
who-
point. We'll give
The
you
other,
another.
the other one is
I know
like,
her.
I still can't believe.
If you get it, we'll give it to you.
Is it?
The Franco brother. Younger Franco brother?
Christopher
Dave.
Mintz-Plasse and Bill Hader?
No, you both got a half point.
All right. Who was the second?
Emma
Who's the other?
Stone, my
Emma
friend.
Stone.
That's
Oh,
Emma
I-
Stone's first movie?
First
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
think that was her first.
I thought that was
I
a
didn't-
well-known fact.
I didn't
That's
think
how I
that
was
was
just
her
like,
first.
I knew half of this question.
Wow. I
I
thought it was
think
a
that was
James
her
Franco
first
brother.
movie, and now look where she is.
Yeah, in 2007, which is fucking nuts.
Crazy.
She's a beast. In a good
I
way.
thought
Alright.
I thought she was in movies like in the early 2000s.
No.
Question
more.
number 9. In Midsummer,
Ooh, yay.
when
I'll probably get it wrong now, watch.
when they are all eating and drinking, everyone has a yellow juice except Christian. What color is his drink? There's only
Bro,
a
I've
million.
seen this movie
of
like
colors.
1,000 times, and I could not tell you.
I'm telling
Yes.
you, it's so hard
Guessing
to on the spot.
there's a massive possibility you get it right. Just,
What was everyone else's color? Oh, sorry. I looked up.
It's like a yellowish color.
yeah.
I think
So
it's
it's not
isn't it
green?
orange?
No, you're close though. No, it's red, and it represents something very specific.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to look over there. I was just like,
That's literally my favorite, like A24 movie.
I
and
know. I
couldn't
tried to
even
pick
answer
some of
it.
these based on movies that you like, Kev. So they
I
were
appreciate that.
Trivia
I do
Yeah,
smart.
love
it-
Midsummer.
no,
Yeah,
no matter how
it's
much we
great.
tried, fucking fuck you, Alex. Sorry.
Like I didn't just go online and say like movie trivia questions. I made these specific, so I
appreciate
apologize.
you.
They're kind of hard.
I appreciate you.
Okay, last question. Who voices Hiccup in the How to Train Your Dragon movies?
Oh,
yeah.
Does spelling work?
Spelling.
Don't worry about spelling if we know
Again,
who you're trying to
Another
say.
one.
Yes, I can see it, and that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, you can see the
Yeah,
outline
J.
of it.
Yeah.
Bloomin'
You got the
Dude,
last name
so
so
good.
wrong, Harry.
Yeah.
So wrong.
What do you mean?
Yay! I didn't do so terrible.
All right, this is just preparation for when you do Tyler's. So 6.5 for Harry and 3.5 for Kev.
Hey,
Not
Alright.
bad.
Okay,
Not
well
bad.
done, mate.
Harry's nerd status fucking
Nice
stays
job, you
strong.
guys.
It's fucking bullshit.
When was Age of Extinction out? Because that got a bill. I like
20, I don't know.
Oh,
The
doesn't
fact that
matter.
you even guessed Age of Extinction makes me angry at you.
I thought
Hey,
that was
I
like
hated
20...
that movie.
The movie's terrible.
The movie is terrible. Yeah, you're completely correct.
Age of
Yeah.
Extinction fucking sucks.
Awesome. All right, well, that is the end of the episode 15 of Love, Death, and Movies. Thank you so much, Kev, for coming on for a talk about a really sad film. We'll definitely have you on in the future. Absolutely, you're a joy to have on. But follow us on everything, including follow Kev on everything. Kev, do you want to plug yourself? What's your handles on absolutely everything?
Yeah, my handle on everything, Instagram, TikTok is movie.review man.
Man.
Just type in man a bunch, I'll probably pop up.
Absolutely.
But just so people know, that is a play on, since I'm a millennial, that's a play on all that. Repairman, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
remember it.
Absolutely.
Just so you know.
Nice. Well, thank you again, Ash. Thank you again, Byron, for once again joining me every single week. This is Love, Death, and
Always.
Movies podcast. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.